Hey guys! So it's been a bit more than a week since I asked you about the dog tutorials. The majority of you said that you'd like to see all the breeds I'm going to make, so I will be recording all of them. But if I make the same breed more than once, it could be as a grown-up dog and a puppy, I might only show one of them. I know this video is going to be pretty long, but the other dog tutorials will not be as long because I won't include as many clips of me applying the fur, etc. Today I'm going to show you how I made this Saint Bernard. I work in 1 to 12 scale, so when making something like this, I first need to make a sketch in the right size. You can find measurements for dogs if you search on Google, or you can find the information in books like this. The numbers in the books indicate how tall the dogs are measured at their shoulders. A female dog will usually be around the lowest number or somewhere in between, while a full-grown male will be around the highest number. So in 1 to 12 scale, a Saint Bernard should be between 54.2 mm to 75 mm at the shoulders. First you want to use some wire to make an armature. This was made the same way as in my doll sculpting tutorial, just different proportions. Starting with the head, just cover it with clay and build up the nose or snout. Smooth that out a bit and begin adding more details. The eyes are just pre-baked pieces of clay. I keep multiple pictures next to me of the dog from different angles so I know what it's supposed to look like. One thing that can be a bit tricky when sculpting animals with fur, and especially longer fur, is that you have to sculpt it as if it doesn't have any fur. Because when you're adding the fur in the end, you need the room to fit in those extra layers. This is also one of the reasons why something like a Saint Bernard really doesn't look anything like what it's supposed to until you've added the fur, especially around the neck. The tools I'm using are as always my dotting tools, ball tools, needle tools, my X-Acto knife and a blade. There are two types of Saint Bernard dogs, one with shorter and one with longer fur. I personally prefer the one with the longer fur because I have a weakness for very choppy and clumsy looking dogs. When you're happy with the head, you can start adding clay to the neck and body. Although a good base sculpture most often equals a better result, I'm not worrying too much about perfecting the shape or smoothing out the clay for this one, because it's going to have quite a lot of fur, so you won't really see it. Just bend the armature as you go. Some poses are harder to sculpt if you bend the armature from the very beginning, because the wire will get in the way. Once I'd made the basic shape for the body, I began adding clay to the legs. Once I was pretty much done with the head and torso, I added the ears. The reason why I didn't add those sooner is because you could easily end up squishing them, or they could get ripped off. Before finishing the hind legs, I did pre-bake it for a couple of minutes, but this is completely up to you. Then bake it. The tail is just a twisted piece of wire that I attached using clay and liquid clay right before baking. After baking, I painted it with acrylic paint. There are a couple of reasons why I do this. If you end up having some areas that aren't completely covered with fur, it won't be as noticeable. Also, it acts like a guideline when making animals with fur in more than one color. For the majority of the fur, I'm using white fur from bunnies and 2 colors of mohair. I first cut some of the white into a fine flogging powder, which I'll be using for the paws, part of the leg and the nose and mouth. Apply glue to a small area at a time and add the flogging powder. Once the glue is dry, you can gently brush off any excess. For the sections with longer fur, I cut off some short strands, applied glue to the sculpture and added the fur. Add a light pressure and wiggle it a bit to make sure the glue really grabs onto the ends. Then repeat this step. It's going to look crazy, but when the glue is dry you can use scissors to trim it. And before trimming it, it's a good idea to gently pull out any loose hairs. For the tail, I'm applying it the same way and trimming it to give it the right shape. For part of the head, I'm also using some dark brown mohair. This was also cut into flocking powder. When you're done, you can use acrylic paint and pastel to add a few extra details. And finally, I sprayed it with a fixative.